Randy Stark. I'm a chiropractor. We live in Huntington Beach, California. Our practice is right next door in Fountain Valley, California. My wife and I are both chiropractors. I've been in practice for 30 years. So I had a number of years in practice, quite a few by myself. And then my wife and I met while we were dating. And then we've joined practices and been in the same office since 2013. So a number of years together. And so it's going well. But before I met you, I felt like it could have been going better. So that's how I connected with you in the first place.
What were you feeling most frustrated with before the mentorship back then?
It just felt like we didn't have much control over whether or not new patients were coming in. And so there were months that would be better months and months that would be slower months. And I didn't feel like I had much control over how that was happening or a system really for what to do about that.
And how are you feeling about it?
It's been much better. In one of our prior conversations, I mentioned that I don't think I've implemented everything that you recommended, but just in the systems that you've recommended, and then some of the side things that you've recommended to do along with the training, it's busied up our schedule to where my schedule is pretty full right now. We had a month where we had almost double the new patients we've ever had before. The offices, I looked at the stats for the first quarter of this year, and they're 13% better overall than they were the same quarter last year. So just a whole bunch of things a lot better.
Awesome. It's fantastic. How were you feeling about that back then?
Feels like an insecurity, truthfully. The lifeblood of most holistic practices are new patients, because most of us don't have enough people that come in for wellness or maintenance to keep the schedule full and to keep the business going. So to augment that, you really need to have new patients coming into the practice. And when there's no control over it, it feels a little uncertain or unsafe. Like it feels like, oh, I'd like to leave and go on vacation, but what if the practice drops down? What do I need to do to build it back up again?
When you were feeling frustrated about your practice, what ended up being the turning point moment for you when you decided, okay, I need to do something about this?
A couple of things. I felt for a long time like I really needed to do something that was marketing-like, because I've never really done much of that, and just hoped over the years that word of mouth would make me busier. And it has, but it took quite a while to do. But I've always felt like I really wanted to be busy and to help more people and to be able to, again, have some real control over what's going on in the practice. And the turning point was feeling like I wanted to be able to effectively do that, communicate chiropractic to people that are not patients yet. And then also have the ability to, if I decided to move someday, because we know where we want to relocate to and retire. But before I retire, I want to be able to go there and practice for a number of years. And so when I go and relocate, I want to feel like I can hit the ground running, so to speak. I don't want to feel like I have to take that long step-by-step, help people and hope they tell other people to come in. So you asked about the frustration or the uncertainty. That was it, is being a little frustrated with feeling like, wow, if I moved, I might be starting from scratch, and it could be slow going for a while.
You in trying to decide whether to be a part of this mentorship, was there any hesitation?
Yeah, there was huge hesitation, because I feel like I am much more of an introvert. So you don't get 30 years in practice and not do any real outgoing marketing without being, I feel like, a little bit of an introvert. So the hesitation was that I thought, oh, I don't know is this something I can do? Is it, can I get out of my shell to do this? Can I reach out to people? And yeah, that was what kind of kept me from committing to it earlier on, because I've seen posts and things of yours for a while now. And it took me a while to finally pull the trigger and do something about it.
What has changed for you since you did the mentorship? I know you mentioned your practice picked up. Tell us a little bit more about what's changed for you.
Yeah, a few things have changed. I think just the way that we went through the mentorship and the process, kind of a step-by-step approach, has helped us implement some things that weren't things I thought I was signing up for to begin with, but some communications with patients that have been more effective. You taught us in the system some things to key in on, which has made the communication much better, which has made our exams a little bit different, so that you spend a little more time on that, which has made our report of findings a little different, so that you go back and touch on those things so that the patients remember and understand why they're there, and then they follow through with care. So rather than being patients that come in and think that they're only coming in to to get out of pain and get a handful of adjustments. They understand the bigger picture on why they're there and what the bigger picture is. And you kind of remind them in a systematic way of what brought them in the beginning and why it's important to them, and then how you can kind of help them toward in the end of it. So it's helped tighten up some of the things that I've done for a long time, but it's made a lot of the things I've done better.
Awesome. Because you've been in practice a long time and you've seen a lot, and you've worked with a lot of people over the years, and
Right.
also done other practice management kinds of things too, right?
It's true. Yeah, I had a mentor for a long time that helped me with a lot of things, but not really at this angle. Helped me with a lot of the inner workings, and for sure assisted me in a lot of ways and got me to another level. But the mentorship here has been something that really is, in an introverted way, as you like to say, drawn me out of my shell a little bit at a time, to where I feel like, hey, I can go out and communicate this to people. I can be comfortable speaking in front of people, and I can be more of a marketer than I was before, and reach out to people that I wouldn't have met otherwise.
What did you enjoy most about the mentorship experience?
Being really introverted in the beginning, I was pretty uncomfortable, but I enjoyed how everything we did was doled out in a sort of a piece by piece way. So if I had known that I was going to have to start from being pretty uncomfortable speaking in front of people and then having to do it right out of the gates, I'm not sure if I could have pulled that off. But the way it was doled out little by little, it made it easy for me to each week go, oh, I can do that. And then next week, okay, well, I can do that. And just to do it piece by piece by piece, in order to kind of take all those pieces of the puzzle and then put them together into a whole picture.
But what was it like to have the templates and scripts?
It completely makes it. If somebody had said, hey, so I want you to form a talk that's going to attract people to come in, and I just wouldn't have really known where to start. I know a lot of what I know, but I don't really know the way to communicate that effectively. And so the templates and the scripts are everything, where it really was kind of plug and play, where you literally take the thoughts and ideas that you had and plug them into the templates. And by the time you get done, you step back and go, whoa, that sounds pretty good. And even in our mentorship, when you would break us off into sessions where you partner us with someone, like in the talk opening, for example, if I just went through and filled out the templates that you gave us and added in my information, when I read it to the other people in my mentorship group, they would usually go, wow, kind of like, gee, that sounds good. And I didn't really do much more than besides just kind of plug and play it in. So it really, the beauty of it is that you've already invented the wheel and nobody has to reinvent it in the mentorship. It's already pretty much there for you. So you just have to take the ideas that you have and the things that you want to do with your patients or clients and plug those into what you already have there for us.
And what was the experience like having other people as part of the mentorship with you?
I thought it was invaluable. You really want to feel like, pardon the phrase, but misery loves company, but you want to feel like they're in it, people in it with you as well. And in my group, there were other people being coached in the mentorship that sounded like they were right where I was, where they felt introverted and felt like I'm not really sure what to do to get out and market myself. And so you just have some common ground with people, and even not just chiropractors, but it was like aura therapy or iridology. And I had a connection with her and another one who was an acupuncturist, and she's from the Northwest where I grew up. And so she and I had a connection. So it was really nice to have other people that were from different walks that felt like they were in the same place I was before I started the mentorship. So really a valuable piece.
Would you like to speak a little bit about this? Because sometimes people actually say, well, I'm not really sure how this could add much value to me if I'm going to be talking to other practitioners here. It's like, well, but they might not know more than I do. So how could this be valuable if you're going to be pairing me up with people and then the structure is a group setting instead of a private one-on-one mentorship? Like, what would you say to that in terms of with experience that you had with it?
It's valuable in a couple of ways. One of them is that you get different perspectives. So when you work with other people, you get opinions and viewpoints from a different angle that you wouldn't really expect. Having people that are walking the same path that you are is valuable. For example, me working with a naturopath or having the information, common ground for all of us. The truth is we're all trying to find new people that need our help and need to hear the message and could benefit from whatever it is that we feel like we need to show them holistically to help them stay away from things that are maybe making them unhealthy or approaches to healthcare that are not really the ones that will help them heal from the inside out. So the one-on-one that I've done with you has been really valuable, but the group work that we did where we were in a group setting and you could hear a number of people talk, or you could hear ideas, you could hear one person's homework basically for that week given to the rest of the group. You get to hear the things that you like, by contrasted by the things you don't like, and you feel like what you might do in the future. And so it's just to have that contrast is really valuable. So it was piecemealed out in just nice bite-sized chunks where everybody knew what to do. And if you just show up and do all the bite-sized chunks at the end, it forms the whole project.
What would you say to someone who might be in the mentorship?
Just buckle in and do the work and see the end. Keep your eye on the end goal, because a lot of us, at least in my group, felt like we were maybe meandering a little bit left and right until we got on the center track. But between you and your staff, everybody kept me on track and handled all my emails and made sure that any of the things that I was a little overwhelmed with, were not as big a deal as I thought they were in my mind. And the weeks where I felt like I was right on top of it versus the ones where I was a little maybe out of the loop or uncertain what to do, I still got back on track and ended up with what I wanted from the beginning of the mentorship at the end just fine. So I would tell anybody who's a little overwhelmed or not too sure to just take it, one piece at a time, handle that piece, set it aside, and just put the pieces together with the confidence that when you get to the end, it's going to form the project that you started off wanting.
And we were just talking earlier that you were just talking about how your practice has been busy and your wife's a little busier too. Would you like to share a little bit about?
With 30 years in practice, it wasn't going bad when I hired you, but again, I wanted to have some control over pretty good versus really good in practice. And so I feel like I have some control over that now. It's much busier. Where I work on patients, the majority of the time, we do our exams and re-exams in a closed room. But for the majority of the adjustments that are wellness or patients that are on a plan, we do it in an open adjusting area. And that means that oftentimes I can hear the phone calls at the front. And truthfully, it's music to my ears to hear my staff say, "Oh, he's all booked up today. Can you come in tomorrow morning?" Or "Can you come in? He's booked until 5:10 this evening." So I like the feel of that a lot, because I've worked for a long time to get to that place where I felt like I was doing good enough work and patients understood why they were coming in, and there were enough new people coming in to keep you busy. So that's happened. And then the spillover is that my wife's half of the practice is a nutrition practice, and slowly that's gotten busier. So her practice is, I would say, 30 to 50% busier since the beginning of the mentorship at the beginning of this year. So overall, it's helped the energy in the office. It's helped when you have a busier office, you have a happier office. And so everyone's happier. And then, of course, the bottom line has been better this year.
So exciting. Congratulations with that. And
thank you.
And how do you feel about it?
That sort of sums it up. When, unfortunately, throughout my 30 years, and there were a lot of years where business wasn't going that well, and it would affect me personally. It would just make me not as happy a person as I could be, or not as confident a person. And so again, quite a few years in practice, so those years are more behind me. But even still, when I would have days last year where I would look at the practice and go, "What is going on? Why is it slow? Or why did we only have a handful of new patients this last month? What's going on?" The difference between that and looking at the schedule and seeing the day is completely full tomorrow, or it's mostly full in the next couple 3 days, and it will confidently fill up the rest of the week. And to have busy weeks week in and week out, it just makes me feel much more like I'm doing the right things for the right reasons. And it seems like when the work life is good, the personal life is really good. And unfortunately, I've had times in the past where, because we judge ourselves, some of us do, by our successes in business or practice, when the practice wasn't doing well, I didn't feel as good. I had lower self-esteem. So when the practice is busier, it seems like everything's better.
And where would you be if you hadn't taken this leap for yourself in this way?
I wouldn't have the control over things that I do. I mean, it has pushed me in directions of growth where I feel like I can reach out and market myself much more comfortably. It's given me, again, the control of feeling like I can dictate what goes on in the practice, or that I can perhaps hire someone here in the near future, or at least look at that and consider that, and perhaps maybe go start building a practice somewhere else in the town that we want to retire in.
And if you knew then what you know now, what advice would you give?
Don't hesitate. Just sign up for it. It's easy. The auxiliary things that you've given us along the way have more than paid for the investment. And it really is an opportunity to grow and expand. And ultimately, all of us are doing what we're doing, probably not solely for the reason of making money, but to really help people. And if you do the mentorship and you can find ways of reaching people more effectively, you can help your soul's journey of helping more people, reaching out to people that would have never heard your message otherwise.
Tell us a little bit about, because you mentioned you work quite a bit with athletes. Would you like to share your experience over the years with that?
I always felt like everybody needs chiropractic care, so I really didn't try to specialize in any one thing. But over the years, you find that the hobbies that you have attract people that are doing what you're doing. So I had a lot of triathletes, and one of those triathletes knew an Olympic swimmer, and the Olympic swimmer came in and saw me as a patient. And then I ran into an Olympic water polo player that trained near where my old office was. So I thought she was a college swimmer, and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I ask?" And she said, "I'm actually on the Olympic national team that trains by your office." And I said, "Why don't you come into our office?" So I worked on a number of the athletes over the last 4 Olympics, Olympic water polo team, and the last 2 Olympics where they won gold medal, I might add. I had the majority of the athletes as patients.
So cool.
So that's been really fun to work with. I've worked with a lot of Joe average people like me, but to work with high level athletes like that is really neat. It's really a cool experience.
Yeah, how amazing to be a part of their top performance, right? And being really high up in their game.
Another guy it was kind of neat since you asked this, the big right there, that jersey is the jersey of a professional rugby player in the south of France. And at one point I was asked to go and went down and worked on a number of pro rugby players down there. So it's interesting it's neat to see in a foreign country where they don't have chiropractic care like we have, that how much it can help guys that have other accesses to care, but not really chiropractic care. So it was neat for me and an awesome experience to be able to work on those guys and then go watch the game where the wives sit right in the front row. So that was really cool. Yeah, for sure.
Because you don't do just straight chiropractic, right? Tell everyone what you incorporate in.
We do an awful lot of nutrition. My wife has an advanced degree in nutrition, and I always say she has a black belt in nutrition, but she's really smart and really knows a lot of things about it. And we do other types of testing to find out if a person has nutritional deficiencies or if they have other barriers in their life that's keeping them from healing. So she's really good at drilling down to that and finding that out, where oftentimes we'll find in chiropractic, it's not just a musculoskeletal problem. So if we can help them in another way, help maybe put the tools in the toolbox for them to remake new tissue, then it helps them to heal faster and maybe get some of the junk out of their diet or out of their environment that was holding them back. Along with that, I've studied craniopathy, so I do a fair amount of work on cranial bones. So it's not something you usually do when a person first comes in, but as part of the system, it's one of the things that happens down the line a little bit. So we're not one size fits all or a cookie cutter approach. We understand that when patients come in, you need to assess where they're at and help them out. And so having a system or having something that in my mind, I feel like, okay, this, and where do they fit into that in the system? And then when they get to the end of the steps of our signature system, then they're a wellness care patient, or perhaps they're a candidate for the other things we do, like maybe nutrition work if they started with chiropractic or vice versa.
This is exciting because you're now at a place where you can feel good about hiring and someone to actually see patients for you in addition to your wife. And I think could be amazing to think about also legacy right down the road, because you've seen so many patients got good results for them. And you've also worked with really high performance people and they're really happy. So there's something you've got figured out there that not every chiropractor out there does. And the different modalities you incorporate and everything. I mean, to look ahead at legacy, I think there's some important things that in your work and what you've discovered that you can pass along to other practitioners as well. So really excited about. So well, congratulations. And thank you so much for being here today. I'm just really proud of you and also very excited for what's to come ahead. So thank you for being here and sharing your inspiration and your journey.
Thank you.